Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs out there. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more Pokemon Adventures the manga, the Gold and Silver arc, the finale of which, as we enter into the finale of this volume. But previously, the masked man's machinations have gone into full swing. He's managed to temporarily down Gold and Chris, but the gym leaders are on the move. Lieutenant Surge gains the powers of Raikou and frees some of his Team Rocket members, specifically the Elite Trio, in order to free the mind-controlled members of Team Rocket. He also decouples half of the train. The one half with Blue and a lot of the Kanto gym leaders hurtling to a fiery demise of all things as it continues to speed up, and efforts to slow it down will be a little too late. The other half, with most of the Johto gym leaders on it, managed to make its way back to the arena, but the Chosen by the legendary beasts/dogs, Blaine by Entei, Misty by Suicune, Lieutenant Surge by Raikou, take on the masked man. But the thing that trips him up is the fact that when he's caught in Suicune's barrier, he cuts himself in half in order to escape, even surviving a blast by Entei right through his chest, all in an effort to escape. But when Whitney catches wind of the weird things that the masked man was able to do, he realizes his identity, something that Morty had guessed at as well. And as the masked man manages to escape, after having shaken down Kurt for the information on how to construct a Pokeball out of the gold and silver wings, the silver and rainbow wings of Lugia and Ho-Oh, respectively, all in an effort to capture a very special Pokemon in the Ilex Forest. However, as he constructs the GS ball, he is pursued by Gold, who is undeterred and manages to get one over on the masked man, only to have it revealed that it is none other than Price, who, well, if you've been paying attention, had been missing for most of that final battle. Most people wouldn't question it because wheelchair-bound senior citizen. But no, Price has been behind it all. But why? At that same time, Green infiltrates the Ilex Forest in order to thwart Price's plans again, as she had done years ago when she stole the I keep saying gold and silver wings. It's Rainbow and Silver Wing, having given it to Yellow, which unfortunately put Yellow under attack by Team Rocket, with her not knowing why. But Green is set upon by Will and Karen, other disciples of the masked man, who have been given control of Ho-Oh, as their leader has no longer any use of it. They use this, and especially Green's fear of birds in general, in order to traumatize her. Well, re-traumatize her, trigger her trauma, whichever, causing her to relive the day when she was kidnapped. How will Green overcome this? How will Gold overcome his predicament? Is Price really done for? And why has he been doing all of this? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, we pick up with Green having a flashback to all that time ago when she was spirited away by Ho-Oh and taken to the Tin Tower. And it wasn't just Ho-Oh. There's a whole flock of bird Pokemon, which actually kind of really explains why it's just bird Pokemon in general that traumatize her. In Chapter 174, The Last Battle, Part 8, Ho-Oh drops the young Green off before the masked man and the masked children behind him. Will, Karen, Carl, and Sham, he reaches out and places a mask upon her face. As she panics, the masked man simply laughs. And as Green huddles over on the side with a very young Silver, the masked man says, "I'm expecting a lot from you, to serve me with absolute loyalty." In present day, as Karen continues to restrain Green falls, Karen laughing. She fainted. Will chuckles even more so. She saw the real Ho-Oh, and my Zatu used its mystic powers to show her the path. Okay, so it was mental manipulation, literally as well as metaphorically. The phobia that began after Ho-Oh kidnapped her and up being a greater foe than any Pokemon. If you'd been as young as little Silver when you were kidnapped, things might have been better for you, because you wouldn't have remembered anything. But this gets Green's attention as she manages to irk out, Silver, I'm glad I didn't bring Silver with me, that I had him teleported to a safe place. At least he didn't have to experience this pain. But Will mocks her, saying, oh, you still got some gumption in you. And you're glad that poor little Silver doesn't have to suffer with you? You're so simple-minded. Green is shocked as Will tells her, I'm afraid I'll just have to toss you back into the depths of despair. Is the poor little fellow you were so glad not to have dragged into this guy? Will snaps his fingers, and with a poof, we see Silver bound to a tree. Was he nailed to the tree? Okay, I checked an unedited version, and I guess, psychically bound? Huh. Regardless, Green, aghast, calls out for Silver as he falls to the ground. She scampers over to him, saying, no, why are you? She grabs him, saying, Silver, Silver. As he awakens, he calls out to her. Green says, but I teleported you to safety. Silver says, I've gotten stronger than you think. This is how I teleported from that place. Okay, we see Silver using his Sneasel, which gotta pop Sneasel right on in there. You haven't been around for the past few videos. Hey, buddy. We see Sneasel grab something from Green's Abra. Green is shocked, saying, you mean you used Thief on a Pokemon? Silver says it was a flower mail with the notes written on it. You've always been so well prepared. I had a feeling that you would have researched the place in advance. Green tears up, saying that's how you found out that I was headed to eat for Elix Forest, and you came back on purpose while being teleported? She grabs him, saying, why would you do that? You never got in contact with me. And when I met you again, you were working for Lance. You're pushing yourself too hard. Silver says, I wanted to fight by your side. I wanted to be the one to protect you this time. Silver slumps, and Green desperately calls out for him. She then flashes back to when they were young, wearing the mask. Her telling him, it's a good name. You have silver eyes. During training, Silver, desperate, Green tells him, keep trying, Silver. I made us gloves, black for you and white for me. Oh, I never even made that connection. You have to get these masks off somehow before we escape. And after they escape, she says, so that's what you look like. Okay, let's make a run for it. As Green stands over the downed Silver, he simply calls out to him. Karen dismissively says, how touching. All finished with your sentimental reunion? As Will yawns. Green turns in anger as Will continues to mock her, saying, what, are you mad? You look as if you like to say something very nasty to me. Let's try this again. How will you react when you see Ho-Oh right in front of you this time? He points up at Ho-Oh, and Ho-Oh directs its attention right at Green. Ho-Oh goes swooping in, but Green stands her ground, looks Ho dead in the eyes, simply waits as it flies past her. Much to Will and Karen's shock, Green says, I should thank you for this. In fact, thanks. It feels so good to get over that. She gives a sigh. Karen angrily questions, get over what? And Green raises her fist, saying, I disappeared and left Silver to wrap things up after the battle against the Elite Four. Because there was something I had to do, something I had to overcome. Karen grows more angry, questioning, what the heck are you talking about? And Green smiles, pointing to them, saying, I've overcome the memories of my past, the fear that controlled me. Oh, okay. See, now this is a better explanation for why she hasn't been around. Green raises 3 Pokeball in the air, saying, I was just a little shaken up when I ran into you two, is all. Now I'll show you what I've been up to while I was gone. Okay, and this also explains that seeing Ho-Oh specifically threw her off, and that's the one thing she had to get past. But she had already kind of started to just confront her fear. Will panics, saying, questioning, what's she doing? Karen, what is she doing? Karen calls out, Ho-Oh, do it again. And as Ho-Oh flies in, Green unleashes the Pokeballs and shouts out, go, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, which, dang, she caught all 3 of them. Jeez. And again, it's not like they were never caught before, but still. Green jumps onto Moltres, and they all ascend into the sky, with Ho-Oh following behind. Will gives a sigh. For a second, I was almost scared there. But Karen angrily says, Will, this is no time to joke around. You've borrowed Lugia from him too, haven't you? Hurry! And Will says, oh right, Lugia! And he unleashes Lugia, which gotta jump on in. Bring out Lugia! And Karen and Will jump onto Lugia's back as they ascend, catching up to Ho-Oh. Karen jumps over to Ho-Oh and calls out, I'll take Ho-Oh, you take Lugia. Legendary Pokemon or not, we've still got to do it. We've got to protect the shrine. Will gives an okay, saying yes. Which, now that I think about it, the whole field that you couldn't be in or you couldn't breathe situation, why is it only with the legendary beasts or dogs, Raikou, Entei, Suicune, and all that, but not with Ho-Oh and Lugia, or Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno? And it made sense when it came to Mewtwo because of the bond that Mewtwo had with Blaine, but then it's like, okay, but what? Or is it simply that they're not unleashing their full potential? Oh, Will then realizes something as he looks back, pushing, what? As we see Silver grabbing onto the tail of Lugia, as he angrily says, I hope you're ready to fight me then. But down below, as the battle ensues, we see the Elix Forest Shrine begin to glow. And we see inside of the shrine in chapter 175, The Last Paddle Part 9, a figure peeks out. The figure known as, spoilers, Celebi. We then cut over to the Magnet Train, which, oh man, they give you a pair of blue Pokeballs, where we see Janine, Chuck, Claire, all battling against the Team Rocket members physically, while Sabrina and Jasmine use their Pokemon, Mr. Mime and Ampharos, respectively, in order to fight as well. Meanwhile, in the control room, as Blue continues to try to work on the controls, Erica looks nervous as Brock seems to notice something as he shouts, It's over! Oh, they're at the end of the line, both figuratively and literally. Oh, someone's on the trap. Brock says, 3 more, no. 1 more minute until we crash. Blue grits his teeth, and then he notices something right in front of them, down on the track. He's aghast to see none other than a figure who unleashes a Pokeball, sending out Snorlax. Blue and Erica shout, what? As Snorlax just sumo grabs the train and just digs in with its heels in order to stop it. And as the train comes to a skidding halt, Snorlax slams against the stopping partition, barely managing to save the train as everyone's jostled to the front. Well, namely Blue, Brock, and Erica, with Brock doing the manly thing and shielding Erica with his body. As the smoke forms from the hasty halt, Blue, Erica, and Brock look out, see a very familiar looking Pokemon having saved them. And atop the partition, or the stopping wall, is none other than Red and all of his Pokemon, as well as, oh wait, he has Green's Blastoise. When did he get that? But of course, because it's there, Charizard. Blue's Charizard to be specific, but he has his Espeon, his Venusaur. Oh, that's pretty cool. Just standing there like a damn hero as the others call out, Red! Blue pops his head out of the train, calling out to Red, and he rushes over saying, are you okay? Red jumps down from the wall saying, yeah, sorry I'm late. Better late than never. Erica unboards the train. Well, I should say disembarks the train. Pushing Red? How did you know where we were? Red brings out the Spoon of Destiny saying, this told me. Erica calls into the train saying, of course, Misty. Red's come for us. Misty? But then she realized saying, oh, and thinks Misty was in the back half of the train. Red questions, how's the league tournament going? Dude, how do you think with what this is going on? Blue says, terribly, that's how. Red turns saying, okay then, we better get back there right away. Blue calls out, Master! And Chuck, still bashing down Rocket members, peeks out, saying, no problem, I'll hold off Neo Team Rocket. Go, oh, and Blue, I'm counting on you. Blue gives a nod as he brings out his Rhydon. Ride on. And as he jumps on, he tells Red, get on. Red questions, a Rhydon? Blue tells him, my new Pokemon, a ground type. It can tunnel us through the ground with its drill. Who knows what kind of traps they've laid for us above ground. Which, Are you gonna be okay riding on it as it digs? Ah, whatever. Erica then questions Red, do you have a Pokegear on you? Red turns saying no. Erica throws hers saying, then take mine. It might come in handy. Red grabs it saying thanks. See you later. And they take off with Rhydon digging through the earth. Red then looks at the Spoon of Destiny saying, Blue, hold on for a second. Blue questions why, as Red tells him, we're headed for the tournament, right? But the Spoon of Destiny says we're going the wrong way. Blue turns and pauses, and then says, okay, I'll take the Spoon's word for it. That phrase. But then again, hey, Spoon of Destiny has never been wrong. The power of spoons. Blue tells Rhydon, change direction, pointing off to where the spoon points, and they hang a hard right. Red questions, but where's the spoon taking us? Blue brings out his Pokegear saying, ha, that Pokegear is already coming in handy. Or, oh, I guess it's Erica's Pokegear? Oh, it says, Red, take a look at the map. If we keep going in the direction the spoon is pointing, where will we end up? Elix Forest. Yeah. Oh, was the text always there in the top right corner on the Pokegear? Oh man, I thought it was cool figuring that out in the previous episode. But as they make their way, two very familiar looking figures appear behind them. Figures of the elite. In chapter 176, The Last Battle Part 10, Red and Blue are shocked to see none other than both Bruno and Koga, their respective rivals. Koga sends out a Tentacruel, while Bruno sends out a, what is it called? Tyrogue. There we go, Tyrogue. It throws me off because it's not called Hitmon anything. The two Pokemon surge forward, and Red unleashes his Espeon, but Tyrogue creates multiple duplicates of itself, sending Espeon on a wild goof chase. Red says, double team. Okay, how about this then? Psych up! And Espeon creates psychic duplicates of itself, while Blue faces off against Koga's Tentacruel as it lashes out with its tendrils as Rhydon fends it off with its horn. The two pairs battle, with Koga and Bruno smiling. Bruno says, it's been a while. Good to see you again, Red. And Koga says, and Blue. Honestly surprised I didn't put Tentacool on my list of favorite Pokemon. I always thought it was cool. Tentacruel. Tentacruel is cool. Meanwhile, Red goes with his Espeon against Bruno's Tyrogue, but suddenly Tyrogue appears behind Red, with Red questioning what? And Bruno has his Tyrogue punch at the wall behind them. Bruno smiles, saying, were you guys planning to dig straight through? It might be the shortest route to your destination, but the ground here is awfully hard and rocky. The Tyrogue's fist manages to crumble the rock behind them, much to the shock of the two boys. Koga smiles, saying, let us help. Bruno thumps his chest, laughing. We didn't come here to fight you, we came to help you. Red shouts, you what? As they make their way, Red says, we're headed to Elix Forest to fight the guy who turned the tournament upside down. And the EU pop up, so we figured you must be on his side. Koga laughs. I'll set you straight then. Bruno and I are done working for other people. From now on, we fight our own battles. You can bank on that. Blue gives a look, but simply says, gotcha. How did you escape? Koga says, well, I got out of Cersei Island underground using my muck escape technique, but I got trapped when the island started to fall apart. Then this guy Bruno showed up and rescued me. Oh, that's kind of nice. Blue, there's a satisfaction I got from fighting against you in the Elite Four battle. A thrill in battle that I could only get from improving my skill. I've served a master my whole life. That was the first time I ever fought for myself. It was around that same time that I met Bruno. He felt the same. Eventually we began to train together. We've always wanted to fight you again. The two boys look on stunned as Bruno says, that's why we went to the league tournament. We were sure you two would be there. Bruno is beating down the wall with his Tyrogue, dang. But then that stupid masked man, he punches the wall with force. He then says, turning to the boys, frankly, I wanted to fight you right here and now, but you've got a real fight to win, and we won't stand in your way. Go fight your battle and win. And Koga doubles down, saying, then we'll ask you for a rematch. Bruno tells the pair, okay, that was the last rock. Red said thanks, and as they head on, Bruno calls out, Oh, Red. Red turns, going, yeah? Bruno questions, have you ever heard of a Pokemon called Celebi? Ooh. Red questions Celebi, turning to Blue, who shakes his head. Blue turns back to Bruno, saying, nope, never heard the name. Fill us in. Bruno explains, saying, it's the time travel Pokemon. And yeah, that means exactly what it sounds like. Nobody who gets a hold of Celebi will be able to travel. Well, anybody who gets a hold of Celebi will be able to travel to the past or future. Blue questions, why are you telling us this now? Bruno explains, saying, because you said you were headed for Elix Forest, which legend says is the home of Celebi, or so Lance told me once. I have a feeling that Pokemon is at the center of this whole thing. As Blue and Red take off, Blue says, yeah, you might be right. Red then calls out, Blue, look at this, as Rhydon continues digging. Blue questions the direction. Right, left, which way is it? Red says, it's not right or left. It's straight up, as we see the broom is right side up. Did I say broom? Spoon. Rhyhorn's drill comes bursting out of the ground, and so does Rhyhorn. Rhydon. And as Blue and Red exit the hole, Red looks around saying, so this is our destination. Blue suddenly calls out, look, as they see the Elix Forest Shrine, a-glowing. Red reads the plaque next to it. Elix Forest Shrine. Here lives the protector of the forest. He turns to Blue saying, maybe this is what Bruno was talking about. Blue says, must be. The place the legend described. He then notices something else. Red questions, what's the matter, Blue? Blue says, they're beeping. Red questions, what are? Blue brings out his Pokédex, saying, both of our Pokédex. Red notices it too now, saying, what? Does that mean Green is here too? As he looks around, Blue then calls out, speaking of Green, that Blastoise you've got. Red says, yeah, borrowed it from Green. I bumped into her on my way to Mount Silver. She told me I'd need the help because it's a dangerous place. But Green uses Blastoise to fly, so I asked her if she was sure it was okay with her, and she said, Blue says, and she said, Red repeats, I don't need Blastoise to fly anymore. What do you suppose she meant by that? Blue points off in the distance, saying, I suspect she meant that. Oh, jeez. They see Green on top of Moltres alongside Articuno and Zapdos, battling against Ho-Oh and Lugia. As Red, shocked, calls out, Green? Oh man, what a sight. As we pick up with Green on Moltres facing off against Karen on Ho-Oh. Green finally notices and looks down, shouting, Red? Blue? She thinks to herself, you came here too. Well, okay then. She then dive bombs towards the pair as Red calls out for Green. Green is flanked on Moltres by Articuno and Zapdos and calls out, Red, Blue, get on. And as Red boards Articuno and Green boards Zapdos, they all three face off with Ho-Oh. In Chapter 177, The Last Battle, Part 11, Articuno attacks, as well as Moltres and Zapdos, and the three's fire abilities, fire power clashes against Ho-Oh's, and Ho-Oh, he starts to kind of sweat. It's a lot to take on all at once. But Lugia comes in with the support, firing off an arrow blast towards the three birds, which manages to knock them off course a bit. Green is especially destabilized on Moltres, but as Red on Articuno and Blue on Zapdos try to help out, Ho-Oh cuts them off, looming upon the other two birds, firing blasts of sacred fire at them. Red, oh, that's a nice moment. I didn't even think of that might be why Red joined up with Articuno. Says, long time no see, Articuno. What are all of you doing in Elix Forest? Not to mention fighting besides Green, who has a phobia of flying Pokemon. Blue calls out Red. Those are the legendary Pokemon Lugia and Ho-Oh. And if you observe their movements closely, it's obvious they're trying to keep people from entering the forest. Red calls out, you mean? Blue says, right. This time travel Pokemon Celebi must be what that guy who attacked the tournament is looking for. He must have stationed those two Pokemon here to prevent anybody from interfering. And the one who's trying to stop them is, Red says, Green, as they look towards her. So the two fly up and around Ho-Oh and try to go diving towards it. Red calling out, let's go, but they're hit and sent off course. Well, they almost hit, narrowly avoiding Ho-Oh's sacred fire again. Red's hat gets a little singed as he calls out, "Ow!" Blue says, "We need to put some distance between us," as they take off with Ho giving chase. Blue looks back thinking, shoot, isn't that hard to keep flying around them? But that's exactly what they want us to do. Waste precious time. Green then notices something. Looking on Ho's back, she thinks Karen's gone, but a voice calls out from under Moltres saying, "You're just looking in the wrong places. I'm right here." As we see Karen clinging to the underbelly of Moltres, she manages to work her way on its back. Green questioning, "How did you?" But Karen, without missing a beat, says, "Go, Umbreon." While Green brings out her Snubble, and the two clash yet again. Karen then looks to the moon saying, "The sun sets and the moon rises." Umbreon. Moonlight. Yeah, Umbreon's stronger in the night. Umbreon's able to gain power and knock Snubble into Green, almost sending her careening off of Moltres. I feel bad for Moltres, who keeps looking back like, Legas! Green is clinging on to Moltres' tail as Karen laughs. "You look great." Meanwhile, on Lugia's back, it's fisticuffs as Silver is just swinging on Will. Just I was too small to fight back before, but I got them hands now. As Will separates himself from Silver, he huffs. I can't believe it. How can he have the strength to keep fighting after everything I've hit him with? He then sends out his Xatu saying, "You need to lighten up, little Silver. Being so stubborn must be awfully tiring." The Silver has his Sneasel deflect Xatu's beak from ramming into Silver. Silver angrily questions, "Lighten up? You think I could change how I feel even if I wanted to? You grew up same as me. You know what it was like." Will laughs, "Same as you." "Seriously? You mean that? Do you imagine Karen and I are poor kidnapped children like you?" Silver is aghast as Will says, "What a joke. We both went to him of our own volition and begged him to train us." Silver shouts, "What?" Will mockingly says, "She and I were both just too talented, even when we were little. No adult could give us a good Pokemon battle. We were bored. We wanted excitement, fun. We knew he could give us that. Even this battle, this is like, how shall I put it, a game for us." Silver says, "A game." Will mocks him, "What now? Angry again?" Silver smiles saying, "Angry? No. I'm happy. I was reluctant to fight you, because I thought we'd all suffer through the same misery. But now that you've told me this, I'm not holding back anymore." And he rushes in on Will with his Sneasel and just grabs him, dive bombing off of Lugia. Will shouting, "What?" But his Xatu manages to grab him before he hits the ground. But suddenly, Pokeballs start raining down around Will. It's all of Silver's Pokemon. Gyarados, which, Bobam. Sorry, I don't have the red version. Ursaring, Feraligatr, Bobam, and Seadra? Or is it Kingdra? Kingdra. There we go. As well as Murkrow. And he tells his Pokemon, "Beat up." And they just start laying into Will's Xatu. With Xatu incapacitated, it can barely fly, just barely managing to land Will safely on the ground. As Silver recalls all of his Pokemon except Murkrow so he can land safely. Will says, "Xatu, psych!" But Xatu is, being held in check by a very ferocious Feraligatr, and as Silver eyes Will down like something fierce, he says, "This might all be fun and games to you, but to me, this is a battle for my destiny. It means everything to me. I've lived for nothing but training with my Pokemon so that I could master this." He calls out, "Return? What? Oh, I don't really know about that move. Return." He has Feraligatr use Return on Xatu, absolutely clobbering it. As Will says, "Oh, you gotta be kidding." Silver tells him, "Oh no." Will says, "Return is a move that won't work unless the Pokemon is ridiculously close to its trainer. And that worked too well. Little Silver and his Pokemon are way too obsessive about all this." He gets on his Pokegear saying, "Karen, let's get out of here. These guys are too serious. This is no fun at all. Why should we work so hard for our master? I'm leaving." Meanwhile, Silver struggles to get to his feet saying, "We have to end this." Oh, meanwhile, we pick up with Yellow, who I guess ran from the daycare all the way to Elix Forest. And she says, looks like I shook off the Neo Team Rocket Soldier. I like to catch up with Pika, Choo-Choo, and Mister and the others, but I wonder why those soldiers were after my straw hat. And what about that rustling sound in the forest? And everybody's arriving. Just need Chris to show up. We pick up in chapter 178, The Last Battle Part 12, with Gold as his pool cue pointed straight towards the man behind the mask of ice as he calls out, "You're the gym leader of Mahogany Town, Price." And Price gives a wicked grin saying, "That's right." Gold says, "Hey, don't move," with a very sharpened cue pointed right at Price's face. Gold says, "A wheelchair built inside a body made of ice." So that's the secret behind the body that kept growing and moving even after a hole was punched through it. I don't know what you're planning to do by controlling time, but I'll bet it's nothing good. So I'm not gonna let you. End of story. Give up. Oh, of all the things, we see Red's Pikachu and Yellow's Pikachu. Red's Pikachu using Surf, holding onto its egg, whilst Yellow's Pikachu is using Fly, which still gets me. My God, there's Pikachu really out here just using these weird moves, making their way down the river. Price notices, plunges one of his ice hands into the ground, has it come up right next to the two Pikachus, grabbing both of them. Much to Gold's shock, Gold says, those Pokemon have nothing to do with this. Price tells him, drop your cue. Meanwhile, back at the Pokemon League, Morty, Whitney, and Bugsy, as well as the Pokemon Association chairman, are looking after Kurt and his granddaughter. Bugsy questions the mystery attacker is Price? The chairman faints, saying, "Impossible." Oh. Meanwhile, Morty is using his psychic abilities to detect where people are buried under the rubble. He goes over, picking up one bit of stone, calling out, "Whitney, help me out here." As they dig through the rubble, Whitney says, "What's this?" It's Price's cane. And as they look into the cane, Morty says, "Oh, look." They crack it open, revealing some kind of device. Morty saying there's a special Pokegear inside it. It's got an antenna and a little screen too. But what was he watching on this thing? Morty looks through it, seeing none other than the Tin Tower. He simply says, "So that's how he did it." Bugsy grabs it, questioning, "What do you mean?" Morty explains, "All the gym leaders were right here when the image of the Tin Tower came up on the screen, right?" Bugsy says, "Right, Price was with us too." Morty says, "And that was his plan all along. He showed us the image of his ice doll, his double, fighting outside the Tin Tower. Man, he remote battled against a Ho-Oh. That's wild. I just figured it was a pre-recording. I didn't think he was remotely fighting the dang thing." Whitney says, "Double ice doll?" Murray says, "Yes. There must have been a camera in the doll's eyes, and the image was sent to the Pokegear Price was using to watch what was going on. That's how he was able to appear to be having a Pokemon battle somewhere else while he was here on the Indigo Plateau." Bugsy questions, "But how did he give orders to his Pokemon?" When he realizes something, saying, "Let me borrow this for a sec," grabbing it from Morty. He taps the Pokegear on the ground, saying, "Price kept hitting his cane on the ground like this. I thought it was just a habit, but now I know why he did it. You know Morse code, right? That's basically it. Of course, a combination of short tones and long tones. The Pokegear interprets the vibration and sends them out as battle commands." And we see over next to Price, it's just as she says, under the mask of ice itself is a camera and a speaker. Set of cameras and speaker. That's why it would never look like human eyes. But as Price grabs onto the two Pikachu and their Poke Egg, Gold calls out, "Stop it. Those two are holding an egg." He slams his cue on the ground, saying, "Oh no." Price says, "Very good." And his ice claw disappears from under the two Pikachu and reappears behind Gold, grabbing him up. Lifting Gold up into the air, Price turns to her menacingly, saying, "Ordinarily, I'd say you've seen my face, so I have to kill you. But there's no need for that now." Gold questions, "What do you mean?" Price sneers, saying, "I mean, we'll never see each other again anyway. I'm going to live in a different era in time, where no one can come after me." He chucks Gold away, but Gold grabs the two Pikachu, rolling out of the way. As Price goes on the attack, he says, "What? aren't you going to fight back? You want to protect those Pokemon and their egg? As Gold cradles the Pikachus and their egg, he suffers the strikes from Price's ice claws. Price tells him, then you keep playing with them, fool. I can't wait to give this a try. I can't wait to see if I can truly enter the crack in time. As Price puts the finishing touches on the GS ball, a light shines above him. Price raises his hands in the air, saying, I did it! The Pokeball is complete! Oh, and Price floats up towards the crack in time, leaving behind Gold and the two Pikachu. Gold says, darn it, I can hardly move. I can't fight. At this rate, I'll never beat him. But as he looks up, he sees the daycare couple and the fisherman. The daycare lady calling out to Gold. The daycare man says, oh, you saved Pika and Choo-Choo's egg. The fisherman then asks, hey, are you okay? Gold turns to him saying, am I okay? You look pretty beat up yourself. The fisherman says, yeah, we got attacked though by Neo Team Rocket troops who are under his control. Gold says, what? He struggles, wincing in pain. The daycare lady comes up saying, oh, Gold, if you're going to keep fighting, you had better read this. It's from Professor Oak. Gold grabs the note saying, what? Thanks. Best this will tell me how to defeat our enemy. The daycare lady says, well, I don't think so. He gave this to me a while ago. Said to pass it on to you when I next saw you. As Gold reads through it, he questions, what? What is this? And it's a list of all the different types of trainer. The fighter for Pokemon battles, the healer for Pokemon healing, the catcher for Pokemon capturing, the evolver for Pokemon evolution, and the exchanger for Pokemon trading. So the fighter would be red, the healer would be yellow, the capture would be Chris, the evolver we know is green, and the exchanger is silver, I think, as Red reads through. Oak's note says, everyone who's gone on a quest with a Pokédex has a particular skill they excel at. Each one of those skills is very important. As a student of the relationship between Pokemon and their trainers, I kept my eyes on trainers' areas of expertise. I actually like that. I thought it was some kind of weird destiny thing, but he's simply saying, there are just trainers who excel in different things. There's a variety of ways to interact with Pokemon. He said, Red, a battle specialist who won the Pokemon League tournament, the fighter. Blue, a master of training Pokemon, the trainer. Yellow, clearly the healer. Chris, she truly catches them all, the catcher. Gotta catch them all. Gold thinks to himself, I've heard all those names before from Chris. They're all better than me in some way. But why are you telling me this? He then reads further, Oak noting, then there's Green and Silver, who think of Green as an elder sister. Judging from what Green told me about her past, I assume Silver was the one who stole my new Pokédex. Green and Silver were trained to evolve and trade Pokemon, so they are the evolver and the exchanger. Oh, okay, Silver's the trader. Well, not the traitor as in he betrays. So what does that make Gold? Gold goes, huh? Hey, what's all this leading up to? Is that all? Why should I care about any of this? Why don't you tell me what my area of expertise is as a trainer? Expertise as a trainer is, old man. As he crumples up the note, he grabs onto the daycare lady saying, or can't you? I don't have any expertise, is that it? I don't have a single special skill that makes me as special as the other Pokédex bearers? The daycare lady says, Gold, calm down. Gold looks back through the note saying, no, that can't be it. Is Silk telling me to stay out of this battle? I don't have any unique skills, so I should do everybody a favor and just back out? Is that what he's saying? Why didn't he have the guts to tell me that? Oh, forget it. I didn't come this far to be a quitter. Come on, old man. I've got something, don't I? Some skill I'm better at than anybody. Fisherman and the daycare couple just kind of look away, not really sure what to say. As Gold slams his fist on the ground, saying, battle, train, heal, capture, evolution, trade. There's gotta be a seventh ability, but what? Tell me, Oak. You've got to tell me! He screams to the heavens. He clutches onto the Pokemon egg, saying, please, tell me, Professor Oak. Oh, okay, I get where this is going. Please. But suddenly, the two Pikachu's egg starts to pulsate, much to the shock of everyone else. Gold is shocked as well as the egg continues to wobble and grow. The daycare lady says, Pecan Choo-Choo's egg. The daycare man says, it's getting bigger. The fisherman then looks back at the envelope saying, oh my, look, there's another letter stuck inside the envelope. Professor Oak sent you. 6 abilities of the Pokédex holders. The fighter, battle. The trainer, training. The healer, heal. The capture, capture. The evolver, evolution. The exchanger, trade. But the egg cracked. The fisherman says, there is also a 7th. The ability that you possess, Gold. The hatcher. Pokemon hatching. You're good for bringing out babies. And thus, a Pichu is born. Fisherman says, a baby? And as the Pichu pulsates with electricity, the daycare lady says, I've never seen this Pokemon before. The fisherman says, Gold, how long have you had that egg with you? Gold says, I just got my hands on it a minute ago. All I wanted was to protect it, so I kept it from getting smashed in a battle. And all of a sudden it hatched? The fisherman tells him, I think I know why that egg hatched so suddenly. It's because you were holding it. Pichu jumps onto Gold's head, and then what the heck? Is that Volt Tackle? He uses its electricity to raise Gold up into the air. Oh, towards the crack in time. The daycare couple call out to him. Gold says, you're telling me to go after Price? Okay, let's go. And he rockets upwards with the Pichu. Man, the baby already looking to kick some butt. They enter into the crack in time. As the daycare lady says, Gold disappeared. What's that weird looking light? The fisherman says, we can't just stand here gawking, let's go after him. Meanwhile, back at the Pokemon League, Chris is looking after Eugene. He says, I'm fine. I didn't expect to spend so much time inside the crystal wall. Serge says, he's not the only one in tatters. All Blank says, Serge and I are in no shape to fight, and neither is Suicune. Misty sees how in bad shape Suicune is. He says, Suicune, you want to go to the final battle, don't you? You want to see how this battle will end. I'm sorry, but I don't have enough strength left to go with you. Choose a new partner from the trainers here. Eugene is shocked as he starts to straighten up. But Suicune reaches out for Chris. But speaking of Suicune, well, bam! Suicune wraps its tail ribbon around Chris's arm. As Chris says, me? Y'all, Eugene's in tears behind her. Suicune then hands over Chris's earring. She says, this is... He says, I knew it. Suicune had it all this time. I had a hunch the moment I saw you with just one earring. Suicune must have decided long before that if I should ever fall, you were next in line. Missy slumps over as Chris goes over to her. Missy says, it's okay, I'm all right with it. I'm even happy. The Pokemon who fought and grew up together with me will become even stronger when they're partnered with someone different. The Omnite I gave Yellow, the Gyarados I gave to Red, they've all made me proud. That's what my life is for. They're my pride and joy. Although Misty thinks to herself with tears in her eyes, I knew from the very beginning I wouldn't make it to the end. Aw, I feel so bad for Misty. It feels like she's being usurped. But Misty tells her, take care of Suicune for me. Chris says, I will. Lane tells Entei, if Suicune is going, then these two won't stay put either. You take them with you. Is that okay, Serge? Serge says, it's up to you. He's like, yeah, whatever. Chris jumps on the back of Suicune, saying, Suicune, Raku, Entei, let's go. She puts back on her missing earring, saying the masked man was headed towards the Azalea town. Gold, I'm coming too. Okay, everybody, let's hurry. And Chris and the legendary beast take off. Mori then calls out, hey, Eugene! While Eugene is sniffling, he says, my good friend. He floats down from the destroyed roof on his Jumpluff. As Mori says, looks like you're in pretty bad shape. Eugene says, you too. Long time no see. It's actually good to see them together. Morty says, yeah, are you sure about letting Suicune go? Eugene says, I'm confident Suicune has a vivid memory of what I did today. So the next partner it'll choose will definitely be me. I did save it after all. Morty simply says, right. And Eugene says, and you can keep your cool when you saw Ho, could you? Morty says, no. When the rainbow Pokemon I'd been searching for my whole life suddenly appeared on the screen at the tournament, but I'm a gym leader. My job is to protect others, not to chase after my dreams. And right now someone is harming people. But, Mori then detects something, turning upwards, saying, "What?" Yassine questions, "What's wrong?" Morty says the lower half of the masked man's body is gathering water from the atmosphere and regenerating as it leaps down, kicking Morty, Yassine, and Bugsy away, then striking out at Whitney, only for it to get shocked or blasted by DJ Mary Smeargle. DJ Mary comes running out, calling out to Whitney. Whitney says, "Mary, you're all right." DJ Mary says, "Me's fire attack. So powerful. When did you learn that?" Oh, Whitney says that. DJ Mary says, "I had it sketch Entei's fire attack while we were watching your battle." Morty says a sketch is a move for drawing an attack and adapting it as one's own. Thanks a lot. Bugsy says it's frightening how powerful Price is. I never dreamed he was this strong. Morty then says, "What the?" He thinks to himself. This chunk of ice kept regenerating, moving, even after it was chopped off the main body. But after that fire attack, it's not showing any signs of regenerating. Wait a minute. The Smeargle sketch doesn't copy just the technique, but the characteristics of the flame Entei breathed out. But Bugsy and the others take off, with Bugsy saying, "There might be other people buried under the rubble as well. It's our job to get them out. Let's go." Whitney says, "Yeah." This is followed by DJ Mary and Yassine. Morty turns. You then see the radio station director searching through the rubble, saying, this is a catastrophe. I've seen a lot of things since this radio station first went on the air, but this is the worst so far." Calls out, "Hey, is anybody out there?" Oh, we see Bill having shielded Daisy from the rubble. The director grabs him, saying, "Are you okay? Hang in there." Bill says, Daisy, you okay?" Daisy stirs as the director says, "Don't worry, she's fine too. Hang in there." And then hears something beyond a dilapidated door. As they enter, the director sees a fax coming through. As he says, "The fax machine is still working?" It's a letter saying, "I heard you say there was an attack on the tournament, and then the radio stopped working. What happened? I'm scared." Pancha from Violet City. The director reads it out to the two, saying, "Is it true that a bad guy just turned the tournament upside down?" Still listening to the radio, Amy Blackthorn. "I wish I could get to the Indigo League to help the gym leaders." Newton Saffron. The director thinks the broadcast continued after the attack. "These faxes are for trainers in the listening audience. My Pokemon might not be of any use to you, but I have to do something. If the Pokemon transporter was working, I'd send every Pokemon I have to help. I'm sure there are countless other trainers around the world who feel the same. If only we could use the transporter." Bill thinks to himself, "I don't know why the transport system is malfunctioned. There didn't seem to be anything wrong with the system, but I couldn't make it work, no matter how many times I tried." Then he realizes something, thinking, "Nothing wrong with the system. That's it. I did not think of this before." And he runs off as Daisy calls out to Bill. Chapter 179, The Last Battle, Part 13. As Bill makes his way to the control room with his Vulpix, he says, "The control room, the center of the Pokemon League, in charge of everything here. This place is a mess too, but I hope at least some of these functions are still working." He types away at the keyboard, goes to the wires, gets his Vulpix to solder some stuff together. Meanwhile, Daisy makes her way up with her Chansey? Yeah, Chansey. I had to think of it. He questions, "What are you doing, Bill?" Bill, working underneath the control panel, says, "Daisy, there's something I've got to figure out right away about the Pokemon transporter. Obviously, the transport system has been built into the league headquarters, so I should be able to access it from the control room. But then, Daisy says, "Bill, don't push yourself too hard. You got wounded when you protected me." Bill says, "It's just a scratch. Don't worry about it. It's nothing compared to what the gym leaders are going through outside." As Daisy sees Bill struggle, she gives a nod. She says, I'll help Seach? I wonder if that's a spelling error." Bill is taken aback. And he says, "It's been more than a year since the transport system stopped working. I was trying to find out if anybody on the outside tampered with the system, but I can't find any evidence of it." Daisy says, "Oh yes, grandfather told me about it. He never found the source of the malfunction." Bill says, "But I might have been on the wrong track. Even if somebody sabotaged it, they didn't necessarily tamper with the system itself. They could have gone after see something about the main power supply." He turns to the downed Carl and Sham, saying, "Just as I thought. I can't believe I fell for this phony image on the screen. Someone's been continuously siphoning off the system's energy. Everything's clear now. All I need to do is find the source of the power for the transporter. Really? He says, but where are you going to get power? Bill says, anywhere, somewhere. Energy, that's all I need, just energy. He says, impossible. This place has been torn apart. We'll never find enough power to restart the transporter. Bill says, I've got to find a way. I'm the only one who can, because I'm the one who invented it. You saw those messages from every corner of the land, didn't you, Daisy? I owe it to all those people. As Daisy calls out to Bill, he sees that there's still no power he can reroute. Says, darn it, what use is technology if it's no use when people need it the most? He slams his hands on the ground in frustration, but suddenly Daisy sees something, saying, Bill, look, the back half of the magnet train. Bill questions why, as the power has increased to 317%, with the narrator saying, they had no idea that the energy that moved the train was still inside it, the tremendous energy that Raikou released. As the phone line comes up, well, as a nearby phone rings, the director picks it up, going, hello. Bill says, is this the radio director? It's Bill. Are you still on the air? The director says, yes, why? Bill tells him, I'd like you to broadcast something all over the land. The transporter system has been repaired, and we need everybody's help. The director straps on a headset saying, okay, gotcha. The radio perks up as he says, this is Goldenrod Radio. I repeat, we're asking everyone everywhere. As many Pokemon as sent immediately. The battle is near Elix Forest, sent to Azalea Town Center. We need your help. Oh my god. It's a Pokemon fan club chairman. He says, looks like it's time for us to make our move. Our fan club won't stand for anyone using Pokemon for nefarious purposes. Did you all hear the radio? This is a message to all the Pokemon fan clubs in the land. To everyone who loves Pokemon, we must come together now. Turn back the darkness. Oh, it's the woman who bathed with the tentacruel. Mr. Fuji, I think? Birdkeeper Toby? One of those Birdkeeper guys. The one who was who got arrested by Faulkner. Oh, the girl from that one town that Morty helped out. Mr. Dervish and all the Pokemon kids. The people with all the milk tank, the Savari Zone people. As Bill says, Pokemon transport system, restart. Go! As a multitude of Pokemon are all sent, all to the Pokemon Center in Azalea Town, and it's just overflowing as Pokemon just come bursting out. Man, how are these people going to get their Pokemon back? Meanwhile, in the skies up above Elix Forest, the Pokédex holders are continuing to battle, but Green is losing her grip on the back of Moltres, on Moltres' tail, and she ends up going flying as Red from the back of Articuno calls out to her. Suddenly, she's caught by Blue on the back of Zapdos. She says, thanks, Blue. But Blue doesn't really respond. Red calls over, are you okay, Green? Green says, I'm fine. Red then says, if we could get just a little closer to Lugia and Ho-Oh, we'd be in range to use Zapdos' electric attacks and Articuno's ice attack. Blue says, yeah. But as they dodge another blast from the two legendaries, he says, but we can't get any closer than we are now. We're going to have to think of a new plan. Those two are legendary Pokemon, so under ordinary circumstances, they never work with a trainer, but they're completely under the enemy's control. How is he controlling them exactly? To this degree. So the first thing we've got to do is free them. Red says, you're right, but how? Red then spots something saying, what is that? He points in the distance as we see a swarm of something appearing in the sky. Even Lugia and Ho-Oh turn to see a horde of Pokemon coming right for them. Oh god. Okay, man, Pokemon that shouldn't even be able to fly are in the sky. So I know what I've been doing by putting my favorite Pokemon all around, but that's a little much. Red says, a tidal wave of Pokemon coming from the direction of Azalea Town? They're headed towards Lugia and Ho-Oh. The narrator says, the passion of every trainer in the land, turn back the darkness, is carried here by their Pokemon. Everyone alone might be no match for the enemy, but together they form an incredible force, a force strong enough to free Lugia and Ho-Oh from evil's grasp. As some light is given off by Lugia and Ho-Oh. Blue says, I can feel something. And he says, it's like the coldness around their hearts is melting away. Wow. So even here, that weird friendship power is there too. Red says a warm, gentle power. Lugia and Ho-Oh land. Red says Lugia and Ho-Oh have stopped attacking. Blue says we better get down there too. As all of the Pokemon congregate before Lugia and Ho-Oh. Lugia and Ho-Oh look to each other, and then they fly up into the sky. Blue says they're headed back into the sky. They've been freed from the masked man's control. Red says, yeah. Nothing can stop Pokemon when they work together. He wanted to keep us from the shrine. Well, too late now. Listen, Green, could you put Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres into your Pokeballs? Green says, huh? Sure. And all three are placed back in their Pokeballs. As Red says, we have to use these three for the last battle, don't we? I'm giving them back to you. Oh, trade. As Red calls out, let's go. As all three of them are back with their starters for one more time. Meanwhile, Will is making his way through the forest saying, what did I tell you? Look at all those Pokemon. Lugia and Ho have been freed. I'm going to... But a voice calls out, no. Will, it falls back as the voice says, I forbid you to run away. As someone lands before him. Meanwhile, the three ancient dogs are rocketing through the sky. Oh, wait, I thought you went through the crack in time. As Will sees Price for who he is, he says, you're the Mask of Ice? What happened to your mask and cape? As his ice form stomp on Will's back. Jeez, blowed his back out. Price says, a very persistent trainer kept coming at me. He followed me into the crack in time. But I've rid myself of him for the moment. Need I remind you, Will? I ordered you not to let anybody near this place. Why are there so many people here? Including behind that bush. Silver emerges with his Feraligatr saying, me. Finally, we meet again. Green, Red, and Blue arrive with Green saying, we're here too. We've taken Lugia and Ho out of the fight, and you don't have any... Oh, Blue says we've taken Lugia and Ho out of the fight. While Red says, you don't have any chess pieces to control anymore. And Chris leaps down from the legendary dogs. She says, I'm here too. Silver turns saying, Chris? And then Yellow emerges from the brush saying, everybody. Red turns questioning, Yellow? And Chris says, Yellow! When suddenly Pika and Choo-Choo riding on Gold's Typhlosion come in, much to Yellow's shock, as Chris is shocked to see the Typhlosion, as the three legendary beasts, Entei, Raikou, and Suicune, are behind Blue, Green, Silver, Crystal, Yellow, and Red, with their Pikachus, Charizard, Blastoise, Feraligatr, Meganium, Typhlosion, and Venusaur, all confronting Price. Man, you're screwed. You ain't got nothing on your side that can handle this. Silver then calls out, it's time your mad ambitions were brought to an end. You can't possibly counter a force this large. As he points, everyone goes on the attack. The Crystal takes a moment thinking, the only trainer missing is Gold. Price was the masked man, and Gold went after him. Could it be? Gold, where are you? As all of their attacks near Price. Forget what I said about not thinking they had enough time to get to this point, because they made the time. They damn well made sure they could make the time. My God. Just, oof. Oh man, okay. Had to get ready because this was a lot. This was a lot. But it's very cinematic. I can't complain. I can't complain about just how good this has been. We're here, chapter 180, the last battle, part 14. Silver calls out, it's time your mad ambitions are brought to an end. You can't possibly counter a force this large. As everyone goes on the attack, Chris looks back thinking, the only trainer missing is Gold. Price was the masked man, and Gold went after him. Could it be? Gold, where are you? As all the attacks approach Price. Oh, weird. Ice Shield, protect him. Blue says, what? Red states, Ice Shield. Price says, that's not all. Oh, as he creates mini ice minions. What the hell? Chris says the shields are gathering moisture from the air and making ice dolls. Yellow says 6 of them. Price calls out, "Go my doll!" as the ice dolls combat the various starter Pokemon, actually managing to overwhelm all of them. Dang! And then they go for the trainers, managing to restrain all of them. What the heck? Did he get it? As all the trainers are captured, Price says, "Ha ha ha, power coursing through my body is an unexpected benefit. But how? How could it be that this newly completed Pokeball is imparting strength to me? Wait, it's just the Pokeball itself? Dang." Chris says the Pokeball that can capture time. Price then goes to the Elix Forest Shrine saying, the moment I've been waiting for. Blue calls out, "That's..." And Celebi emerges from within the shrine. As Red says, "The Pokemon Bruno was talking about. The time-traveling Pokemon Celebi." Price says, "Precisely." And he manages to capture Celebi in the GS ball. Green and Silver shout, "No!" And as Price wields Celebi in the GS ball, he says, "Now, Celebi, guide the way. Take me back to retrieve what I lost in the past." As we see that under Price's wheelchair is some kind of mechanism, a clock, much to Red and Blue shock, as Blue says on the right is a clock, on the left a thermometer. As Celebi uses its time-traveling abilities, they say, "The clock's spinning backwards. The thermometer shows negative 273.15 Celsius. God, Jesus." They call out, "Everything will freeze at absolute zero." Chris calls out, "Gold, where are you?" And as Price is half in the shrine, he says, Gold. The boy did well. He ripped my mask off and tried to drag me down as I entered the crack in time. His flash attack was so powerful that I'm still nearly blind." Chris says, "Does that mean that Gold is..." But suddenly the ice around them is melted by Entei. As Chris calls out to Silver, Silver says, "Take a look at the Pokédex." Chris questions, "Pokédex?" Silver tells her, the resonance light is blinking, but the resonant alert isn't ringing. Even the Pokédex isn't sure if Gold is here or not. Chris says, "You mean he might be here after all?" Silver simply says he might. Price says, "Is that you, Silver? You really are a good student, aren't you? Because you're right. Gold was so obstinate that I played a little trick on him. The same trick I played on Raikou, Suicune, and Entei in the past." Yellow realizes what he's talking about as he points to a weird floating prism behind him, saying, "What do you think will happen when you're trapped by my ice walls in the crack of time?" And they see Gold imprisoned in this weird panel of ice. Price leaps into the time portal that Celebi creates, saying, "So long, everybody." Chris calls out he's gone, while Gold says, "So frustrating." Chris says, "Gold, what happened to you?" Gold says, "Chris, Silver, everybody. Can you believe this? I caught him at the crack in time, but Silver reaches into the portal saying, "Grab my hand," but his hand starts to distort. He pulls back in pain. As Chris says, "Be careful, Silver." Gold says, "Reality is totally twisted in here. It'll pull you apart if you're not careful. The reason Price is able to move around in here is those 2 feathers. Having them in his Pokeball protects him from the outside world." Yellow thinks to herself, "That's right. That day when Entei, Raikou, and Suicune were released, I thought that was the basement of the burned tower, but I was wrong. That was the crack in time. But how was I able to get in there?" Gold says, "If only we had some of those feathers ourselves, huh?" And then he sees Yellow's hat and calls out, Hey, what's wrong with you people? The thing we need to get out of here is staring you right in the face." Chris says, "The thing?" Gold says, "Open your eyes, will you? Hey, Straw Hat Boy, look up. Those feathers on your hat. They're the silver wing and the rainbow wing." Chris says, "What? Yellow, is that true?" Yellow grabs the feathers, saying, "I guess so. But they won't come off." Gold says, "Just hand over the whole hat." Yellow looks to Red, saying, But wait, she still hasn't revealed..." Oh my god. Misty had nothing to worry about. Gold says, "No buts. I can't believe you. You won't take it off. I'll get Expo to take it off for you." Yellow says, Okay, I'll take it off myself." As she takes off the hat, she reveals a very long ponytail, making it very clear that she's a Red's face like, wait, what? Really? Though even Crystal is kind of like, wait, what? As she accidentally pokes the hat into the crack in time, it frees Gold, who goes tumbling onto Raikou, who catches him. He says, thanks, Straw Hat, but now you're a girl? Why didn't you say something before? You look like a guy, too. Oh, man. Oh, Red is kind of dumbfounded. Green and Blue look like, yeah, he was going to find out eventually. Cole says, oh, I guess you were fighting a battle of your own over taking that hat off, huh? Anyway, now that I've got the feathers, I ought to be able to move freely like Price inside that crack. But he sees Chris mount Suicune and Silver mount Entei, as it should be. And Gold says, you're coming too. I guess that's a stupid question. Let's go. Into the crack in time! He put the feathers in his hat. Love it. As they enter in. Oh man. Things get wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Oh, no, we see flashback of everything they had been through up till now. Huh, wild. Silver looks back at all the memories saying we're traveling through time. Chris says moments from the past flickering on and off. Silver then sees something shouting, look. As we see a young Price and 2 Lapras. He says it's Price, but so much younger. He must be in his past. Oh my god. It's because he lost his Pokemon? Huh. So that was just always a backstory for him. So, whereas in the anime, he turned cold because he lost his Piloswine, he went to evil because he lost his 2 Lapras? I mean, I guess it's a trauma. And the connection people have with Pokemon, they call out, it's Price. So much younger must be in his past. The young Price says, Lapras. But then an egg he has in his coat begins to hatch. The young baby Lapras. The young Price says, forgive me. I used terrible judgment. Forgive me. I never wanted this. And Price appears saying, so now you know. Cole says, Price. So the past you're trying to change is. Price says, I'd like you to meet Laglas, my Lapras. I'm changing time for Laglas' sake. I'm bringing back the 2 I lost, Lapras and Lapras. Which, okay, yeah, I was kind of told that his reasoning was not great. And yeah, no. Dude, people would have helped you with this. Like, you didn't have to do all of this. My god. Chris says, that's it? All of this evil was in the name of something that small? Even Chris is like, buddy, you did all of this for that. That's like committing mass murder because someone knocked ice cream out of the hands of a small child. Price grows angry, saying something that small. It may seem small to you, but it's been my only reason to go on living. As he strikes at Gold's hat, taking away the gold, the rainbow and silver wings, the crack in time begins to affect them harshly. Price says, oh, and I lied to you about one thing. I told you my Pokemon are just tools to me. But it's not the Pokemon who are tools. It's everyone else. Everyone I have to use in order to bring back the Pokemon I love. Dang. It kind of shows the opposite side of loving Pokemon. When you can just love them a little too much. Like, dang, dude. Gold says, not allow the waves of time to crush you. And now that you're... Price says, now allow the waves of time to crush you. And know that your friends at the shrine are doomed as well. Celebi, hurry. Take me back to that day. To that very moment. Meanwhile, outside the shrine, everything continues to freeze over. Red calls out, Yellow, your hair. Yellow says, Red, Green shouts, could you two talk about this at a more convenient time? Right? Charizard continues to try to melt the ice. As Blue says, it's an infinite job. No matter how many times we melt it, the forest keeps freezing. Yellow says, but why? The ice dolls, Charizard, and the other fire-type Pokemon melt keep regenerating, but the ones that held Chris and Silver, Blue says, yeah, those stayed melted. That's because Entei melted those, and Entei is a legendary Pokemon. Entei's fire must be the only thing that can melt Price's ice permanently. Yellow calls out, some fire Entei's attack ignited are still burning. We spread the flames through the forest. Green says, but how in the world are we going to do that? We can't even move. Red says, wait, there is a way. When Blastoise ran out of cannon water, I replenished it from the hot springs at Mount Silver. Oh my god, really? Green calls out, are you nuts? You can't spread fire with water. But then Blastoise, with that flammable water, just starts being a flamethrower, much to Blue's shock. as Green shock as Blue says, "What the?" As all the ice begins to melt, Red says, "Why do you think they call them the fire hot springs? They contain a flammable gas that fuels any fire it touches." Which would have sucked if Blastoise came up against a fire Pokemon. Red says, now let's get into that shrine. Wait, guys, without the golden, the rainbow and silver wings, aren't you going to be hurt by the distortion? We then see if inside the crack in time, Gold and Silver see a flashback to when he met Silver, calling out, "Give me back my backpack." Gold says, "Hey, that's us at New Barktown. I thought you stole my backpack. That's where all this started. Guess I forgot to mention it, but I kinda jumped to conclusions. I'm sorry, okay? Glad I got the chance to say that, cause I don't think I'm gonna make it out of here." Silver says, "What keeps you fighting so hard? It's not because of me, is it?" Gold says, "Don't be ridiculous. I'd never fight for you." "You're not a girl." I say that, but that's the vibe he gives off sometimes. Gold says, "Actually, it's kind of embarrassing what I'm fighting for. Not for any person or cause or any of that. The truth is, I'm only fighting for me. But I figured it can't hurt when I'm doing things for myself to help others out too." He manages to get back the rainbow and silver wings, handing them over to Chris and Silver. He says, Chris, ever since I started traveling with you two, I've gone so many places, met so many people, joined so many battles. It's been fun. Thanks." And he just leaps off of Raikou into the portal that Price went through. As Chris and Silver call out for Gold, Gold manages to grab onto Price's leg, saying, "Price, let go of Celebi. No Pokemon deserves to fall into your hands." Price says, "You'll never understand how I feel. How I felt when Glass's egg hatched, and I held it in my arms after losing Lapras and Leprius." Gold says, "Oh, yes, I do." Much to Price's shock, Gold says, "Like Professor Oak told me, I'm the Hatcher." As Pichu leaps out of his backpack onto his head, and as Gold chases down and fights off against Price, against his Swinub. Pichu against Swinub. Who thought it would come down to this? Professor Oak's message reads, "Your great skill as a trainer, Gold, is not simply in hatching Pokemon eggs, it's in bringing Pokemon into the world. You don't just give them the power to hatch, you draw out their power, bring out their abilities so they can achieve their full potential. But more than that, you pass along your emotions, your ideals, your will." Yeah, that would explain why Pichu is very determined to get Price. "You've lived with Pokemon as if you were a family, developing that talent, a talent that is yours alone." And he tells Pikachu to use Super Rising Thunder, which, is that what that attack actually is? Or, hold on, it says it's Volt Tackle. Doesn't look like Volt Tackle though. But it hits Price something fierce. As Gold says, "Nice job, little partner without a name. You know how to make the most out of that electric energy you got from Raikou." Oh, he got supercharged. Chris sees the shine, saying, "Gold's fighting." Well, Silver says, "We can't get there, but we could still send over our attack energy to help him." And Red saying the same thing outside the portal too. As all of the starters, the 3 legendary beasts, all power up this one little Pichu. As Gold says, "This attack is going straight through my Q stick and destroying your shield." Oh, okay. He tosses his Q right into Price's ice shoulder. And he says, "You thought I missed, didn't you? I was just setting up my shot for." And Price's ice shoulder explodes. And as all the attacks come in, Gold looks back saying, "Nice cover fire, guys." As it utterly destroys Price's ice body. He's sent hanging off of his wheelchair, saying, "No matter how many times you destroy that body," Gold says, "it's going to regenerate, right? Except I wasn't aiming for your body." As Price notices the GS ball is cracked, and it explodes as Celebi is freed. Much to Price's shock, Gold says, "You're human too. Without those feathers to protect you, you're going to, well, same as me." But as Price struggles, the Pokeball with his Lapras inside flies up and goes and meets with its parent. Price says, "This is I lost La Prius and La Press, and those two holding like last. Song calls out, ripples on the waves, battles on the brain. Can you ease my mind? Can you feel the strain? Gold thinks that song. Carry me across the sea, carry me to days gone by. Let me feel what I felt then. I says, I know that song. Love the ones that you have lost, but old passions fly. Okay, who are these the images of? Oh, the fisherman says, are you serious, old lady? The man who wrecked the tournament, the mastermind behind everything. You've known him for years? The daycare man says, I had a hunch when I saw a shadow disappear into the sky on the way here. And after Gold called his name, I knew I was right. Look at this photo. We were young then, our future seemed so bright. Agatha, Samuel, me in the middle, Kurt on the left. The fisherman says, don't tell me that cute chick next to you is. He turns to the daycare lady who says, me, why is that so hard to believe? The daycare man says, the six of us were such good friends. The fisherman says, six, but there are only five of you in this. The fisherman says, take it out of the frame and look again. Right, researcher, Pokeball craftsman, breeder, gym leader. None of us knew what we wanted to do in the future. We just wanted to have fun, and we did. But one day something happened that ended all that. Price lost two of his beloved Laprases at the ice field, never forgave himself. He withdrew from all of us, so we tried to come up with a way to cheer him up. We decided to compose a song, a ballad, just for Price. Kurt and I wrote the lyrics, Agatha and Samuel made the music. Fisherman says, what did you do, old lady? The lady says, sang of course. I was a genuine pop idol back then. The fisherman freaks out, while the daycare man says, you had such a lovely voice. The daycare lady says, I heard that DJ What's-Her-Name did a cover of the song. Oh. Wow, full circle. I heard it on the radio, Price's song. Boy and his Lapras. As the lyrics go, love the ones that you have lost. Love the times you knew. A new life now has come along and it needs your love too. Rippling waves will bring me home, back to where life starts. Rippling waves will bring with me my beloved's heart. Rippling waves of love. The daycare man says, but it didn't help. It couldn't melt Price's frozen heart. Not then, but we see that now. Price, with tears streaming out of his eyes. He says, Celebi, do you know what was in my heart? Did you know when you brought me back here? And maybe at last I might let this song into my heart. Let the ice finally melt away. Feel the warm sun of spring. I'm so envious of your youth. As he looks towards Gold, you still have so much time ahead of you. So much time to spend with your Pokemon. Cherish that time, he says as he falls through the crack in time, leaving behind his wheelchair and his swine-up. As the doorway to Elix Shrine opens up, red, yellow, blue, and green look in. Blue saying, after we attacked, I felt a huge explosion of energy. What happened Red asks, what happened inside the shrine, inside the crack in time? Blue says, look. As out of the crack comes Chris, Silver, Pichu, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. Yellow says, Chris, Raikou, Suicune, Entei. While Green says, and Silver. Yellow grabs Chris saying, are you okay? Green grabs Silver saying, Silver, Silver. While Pichu sees his Pikachu parents grabbing onto them. Yellow says, I've never seen that Pokemon before. The way Pika and Choo-Choo are acting. It must have come out of that egg from the daycare where I left Pika and Choo-Choo. Of course, think we ought to name you Pichu. Really? But who hatched the egg? I'd like to thank him. But she sees the despondent Silver and Chris. Silver points to Pichu saying, the guy you want to thank is named Gold. He has spiky hair just like little Pichu here, but you're not going to be able to thank him in person. You lost him inside the crack in time. Everyone else is shocked. Silver says he stopped Price and released Celebi, but he gave his own life to do it. Silver begins to fall over, while Blue grabs him saying, get a hold of yourself. Green questions Blue, but Blue pulls Silver towards him saying, are you done talking? And you're coming with me. I'm bringing you in for the theft of the Pokedex from Professor Oak and the kidnapping of a Totodile from Professor Elm's lab. I've had my eye on you since I saw you at the tournament. Blue, dang, buddy. Chris says, wait, stop it. Yes, it was wrong of him to do those things, but he had no choice, and we both just lost a good friend right before our eyes, can't you? Silver says, it's all right. My whole life's purpose has been to get revenge on that man. I'd have stopped at nothing to accomplish that. But today, that battle has finally come to an end. I have no regrets, and I'm willing to face whatever punishment awaits me. Blue tells him, let's go. But a voice calls out, hold it right there. Hey, Picklehead, before you rush to lock him up, don't you think you should check something first? Take a good look at the face on that wanted poster. Does that look anything like him? And we see that ugly drawing from before. As Gold on top of the Elix shrine smiles down, saying, I'd say you've got the wrong guy. But don't feel bad about it. Even the best trainers make mistakes. Chris says, Gold? Silver questions, what are you doing here? Gold says, what am I doing here? Didn't you expect me to come back? Sounds like you thought I was a goner. I don't go down that easily. He then jumps down saying, hey, Straw Hat Boy, I mean Straw Hat Girl. Sorry. Chris says, Gold, that's rude. As Chris brings up Yellow's info, which reads age 12, he says, you're older than me? Then the fishermen and the daycare people come running up with the rest of Gold's Pokemon. As the daycare lady says, phew, we finally caught up with you. Gold says, hey, my good old partners. As Gold sees Sunflora, he said, oh my, did you just evolve? The rocks around here radiate an energy like the sun's rays, the same energy that's in a sunstone. Okay, that's the explanation. Gold says, good work. Whoops, and pats Green on the butt. Oh, Silver decks him saying, hey, that's my sister. Gold says, I meant to clap her on the shoulder, but she moved. Bull! You went straight for the butt. Gold says, cut me a break, Silver. It was an accident. Silver says, I'll break you all right. Okay, I got a curious. Was that an accident? Who's this sexy lady? Pats her on the butt. Gets decked. Silver says, don't touch her with your dirty hands. Gold says, what do you think you're doing? Aren't you grateful for my help? Silver says, shut up, it's a different story altogether. Yep, he meant to go for the butt. Meanwhile, Karen, up above with several Murkrow, has managed to get Will, saying, well, that was quite a surprise. I guess even weaklings can be powerful in group. It was awfully clever of me to get away from Moltres the moment that we saw those Pokemon. But how are we going to have any fun anymore without Price? Huh? Figures call out from behind both Karen and Will, who's regained consciousness, as Koga says, maybe you should join us. Karen asks, and you are? Koga says, a couple of guys who used to be just like you. I'm Koga. I'm leftover from the old Team Rocket. Bruno says, I'm Bruno, a leftover from the Kanto Elite Four. The irony of this, the coming together of a new Elite Four. Karen says, and we're leftovers from the Mask of Ice. Sounds like the fridge is full. Ha! What do you think, Will? He picks Will up off the floor. He says, I don't care who we hang with, as long as I'm not bored. What a way to come together. Misty finally recovers from her injury, saying, ow. He thinks, it's over. It's really all over. Erica, I'm sorry I wasn't able to keep the flower you gave me. She gets on her Pokegear, saying I should tell her that. Someone answers the Pokegear, saying, hello? Misty asks, is this Erica? Red says, do I sound like a girl to you? Misty says, Red, is that you? Red says, oh, you got it. Hi, Misty. Questions. Thinks, is that Missy on the phone? Red says, Missy, you still there? He says, I don't know why you have Erica's phone, but are you okay? Red says, sure, how about you? All Yellow thinks, why is he so nervous? Oh, God, this. You know what, I've got over it. All Green says to Chris, looks like a battle is still being fought here. If you can't make up your mind, how about we all travel together? Well, Red, Misty, and Yellow all react very violently. While Green says, truly obnoxious. Well, Blue says truly obnoxious. In the other version, she says, if you're confused, why don't all of you just stay together? Which I guess she means live together. A menage a trois, as you will. They're children, so no. Gold sees this saying, okay, now I understand what all the umming and erring and sweating's about. I feel sorry for them. I think I'll go help out. He gets on his Pokegear, calling his mom, saying, hi, Mom, it's Gold. Yeah, I'm fine, but I'm going to be a little late getting home. The Pokemon League champion is staying right next to me and has offered to teach me some of his battle tricks, but I'll be there as soon as I can. I can't wait to eat your gourmet Cinnabar Volcano Salisbury steak again. Bye. And he takes off, Yellow shouting, Red, wait! While Chris shouts, Gold! Oh man, what a weird situation they ended up in. And as Red's on his bike and Gold's on his scooter, Gold says, so, how about that rescue, huh? Now are you gonna teach me? Red says, you are serious? Gold says, dead serious. I want you to teach me whatever it takes to defeat that snobby idiot Silver. Red says, right, well, how about we start on Mount Silver? That's where I healed from my wounds. There are tons of wild Pokemon up there. It's the perfect place to train. Cole says, Mount Silver, huh? Sounds great. Let's go. What a weird situation to end up in. That's funny. That's funny. And the final narration. Due to the wreckage at Indigo Plateau, the tournament is cancelled, leaving its mark on history as the tournament with no champion. As for the Kanto vs. Johto gym leaders match, Claire reports that she lost the unofficial 7th match on the Magnet Train. True, I didn't even think about that. So with 4 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw, Kanto is declared the winner. Kinda feels bad for Johto, but oh well. All this naturally causes the number of trainers who attempt to earn badges from gym leaders so they can enter the tournament to skyrocket, and so the leaders find themselves busier than ever. Having learned of the Mask of Ice schemes to master time travel, Bill sets out to harness the same power for the good of humanity and Pokemon, specifically to incorporate it into his transporter system. His new research is garnering much support. Feel like there's something to that I'm not remembering. Raikou, Entei, and Suicune went to seek their master Ho-Oh and vanished again. Hoa and Lugia are once again legendary. The Rainbow Wing and Silver Wing have been lost, perhaps forever. And unless they're found, the Elix Forest Shrine will never be opened again. So the story of the Mask of Ice, who shook the Johto and Kanto regions to their bedrock, comes to a close. And now... What time is it? Can you take a look at the clock for me? Where's the hour hand? 10 o'clock. What? 10 o'clock? And the minute hand? 35 minutes. 35? You're sure it's 35? 10:35? I can't believe this. I overslept. And Professor Oak wakes up. Oh, and his assistant is Chris. Nice. That's good for the games. Oak races downstairs to see Chris saying, I've got to get to Goldenrod for my live radio broadcast. Chris, why did you wake me up? Chris says, oh, did you tell me to wake you up, Professor? Oak thinks to himself, Daisy always woke me up whether I asked her to or not. I miss Daisy. She's busy with Bill. I feel there's something there. Chris says, oh, Professor, I finally did it. Oak says, finally? Wonderful. Did what? Chris says, look. I completed the Pokédex. Oak says, you what? Chris says, I couldn't capture the legendary Pokemon, of course, but I managed to gather most of their data during the battle, and the rest was pretty easy, so here you go. Collection complete. Well, dang. Oak says, you really did it. Chris says, I'm a pro. Oak then says, but I can't bear to tell her that since new species of Pokemon are constantly being discovered, there are far more than 100 out there. Oh, that's just the games in a nutshell. The moment you tell her that, she'll just gonna be like, capture! That I would like her to gather data on. Well, no time to talk about this now. Gotta run. She takes off. At the radio station, PJ Mary is holding up a sign to the director questioning where is he? And the director has a sign that says stall. And she says, hello Pokemon fans, it's time for Professor Oak's Pokemon Hour. And he enters the door as she says, and here he is now, ready to lead you on an audible journey into the mysteries of the wonderful world of Pokemon. We see Mr. Davish, listening with the orphan, saying, hello, I'm Professor Oak. I'll be your guide to the secrets of Pokemon. It's like the beginning of the game. We have the daycare couple, the daycare lady singing karaoke while the fisherman is gathering firewood. This world is inhabited far and wide by creatures called Pokemon. For some people, Pokemon are pets. Others use them for battling. We see Professor Elm and his assistant with Joey. As for myself, I study Pokemon as a profession. We see the chairman getting his hair done by Jinx, who is getting rid of what remaining hair he has left. But there are still so much we don't know about them. So many secrets yet to be discovered. Lance riding across the seas on his Aerodactyl. And so I have devoted my life to discovering new Pokemon and learning more about the ones we know. The director holds up a sign that reads, Prof, a kid wants to see you. Wants a Pokédex to become a trainer and spend lots of time with Pokemon. The director points to the doorway, and the professor gestures over for the child. He says, all right, tell me a little about yourself. What's your name? Nice. As we see an image of all the Pokédex holders looking off into the distance. The end. Oh man, that was a lot. Oh boy, that was a lot. Oh man, looking at the final levels of all of their Pokemon. Venusaur 72, Poliwrath 70, Pikachu 85, Snorlax at the highest at 86, Gyarados 74, Aerodactyl 76, Espeon 65, Diglett 23, Sandshrew 21, Nidorino 42. Red really didn't get much to do. He's almost as elusive as his game counterpart in this one. So Blue, his Charizard 81, Scizor 80, Porygon 61, Golduck 79, Rhydon 71, Pidgeot 76. I won't read off the rest of his Pokemon. His strongest is Charizard. What about that Charizard? Blue, he was fun. I enjoyed his battle against Chuck. That was a good one, just to really explore his own personal growth. It feels like we really got something out of that. Green, call her the Evolver, but she hasn't really evolved that many of her Pokemon. You know, it's mostly just her Blastoise is at level 70. Jigglypuff 57, Ditto 40, Clefable 60, Nido, Rena 59, Snubbull 22, most powerful Blastoise. I enjoyed though, each of them had something they needed to overcome to some degree. A hang-up. Red, his physical hang-up. Blue, just moving past his situation with his master. And Green, her trauma. They weren't at the forefront, but they were in it just enough to really be prominent. Yellow, Pikachu 31, Raticate 25, Dodrio 33, Omnanite 42, Golem 39, Butterfree 20, highest level 1, Omnanite. Wow, dang. Of course, the one she got from Misty. And Yellow didn't feel like she really grew outside of just finally having the moment she took off her hat, which isn't a bad thing, but Yellow felt so auxiliary here. But it was good to see her. I'd rather have her than not. The Silver, the Feraligatr 45, he's the only one who doesn't really, outside of Blue. Oh, and to a certain degree, Green? I guess it depends on how the fancy strikes her. Doesn't really nickname, I guess the rivals don't nickname their Pokemon. Feraligatr 45, Sneasel 46, Kingdra 44, Gyarados 40, Ursaring 44, Murkrow 43. See, he levels up his Pokemon the way I usually do. I keep them all around the same level. I try to make sure their growth is at a regular rate. It rarely gets lopsided with a lot of my Pokemon. His most powerful one is Sneasel, which he had the longest, so it makes sense. But Silver's journey was fun. It's just, dang, we didn't even explore his parentage. That's something to look forward to when Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I bet, though. And I like that he kind of warmed up a little bit towards Gold. That last little speech he had really shows how much he softened as a person. For Crystal, her Meganium 40, Smoochum 29, Hitmonchan 54, Parasect 47, Arcanine 53, Natu 43, highest level, Hitmonchan 54. Dang. Dang. Actually thinking about it, it's just like, man, Hitmonchan really coming in. So he was her hardest hitter. I would have thought it would have been the Arcanine though. Jeez. But Crystal is about the capturing. And the team that she has with her is all mostly about, an impact they had on her. Chris was a fun character though. I don't feel like she really had a moment at the very end outside of finally getting the closure of having Suicune with her in her party. But she was fun. She had plenty of time to shine, more so than anybody else, so that's not a bad thing. And then finally, Gold with his level 43 Typhlosion, 42 Apom, 43 Politoed, 39 Sunflora, 44 Sudowoodo, 28 Mantine, and 25 Togepi, who we completely forgot about Togepi. It's just like, it was just to show off its hatching skills, but nothing for the Pichu. Dang. His most powerful member is the level 44 Sudowoodo, which is hardest hitter. I will say, Gold, it was cheeky right up until the very end. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but oh man, he was a lot sometimes. He could be fun, he could be interesting, he could be cocky. I don't hate him at all, but Man, just the cheek on this kid. I will kind of miss him though. It's just weird because there was a lot more time we spent apart from him in the very arc that he was the main character of to give Crystal her little moment. But that little last moment was really cool. And I love the implication that, he helps bring Pokemon into the world and help them out. So him being at the daycare really does make a lot of sense. The facets of the world of Pokemon. I love that this was really getting into that concept even before the anime and games really started highlighting that too. Because the anime did have the idea of Pokemon breeders, which became such a big thing later down the line. And then Pokemon contests. I like the idea of having multiple characters who explore just how diverse and widespread the world of Pokemon can really be. It makes it seem that much bigger, it's that much stronger. Price's motivations were doo-doo. They really were. I mean, man, dude, I feel like you really could have gotten your friends to help you out with this mission if you had just gone about this another way. Oh man. But some people react to trauma very differently, so maybe it just shows how extreme he took it. But this was a lot. I can't think of anything else to say because I'm kind of fried from this last thing. It was a long stretch to get to the conclusion here. So I'll just ask, what were your thoughts on the finale to the Gold and Silver arc in Crystal? Who was your favorite character to focus on? Who was your favorite Pokemon we've seen so far? You see a lot of mine on the screen right now, but I want to hear from you. So like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. But it's not the end for Gold and Red. There's a little something extra coming down the pipeline that I already knew about, but I thought it came in later, but apparently it's supposed to follow right after all of this. So stay tuned and check that out, but also stay tuned for Ruby and Sapphire, the final games I played before going on a hiatus until I got to Sun and Moon. Now, I was still keeping up with the anime for a while afterwards, but, Ruby and Sapphire, I never got to Emerald, mind you. I never got to Emerald, so, you saw how spotty my memory was when it came to Gold and Silver, so we'll see how that goes. But thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride, and I hope to see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.